Welcome back to MurrayMax. I got another clip with Andrew Wilson from the Whatever podcast debate with this male feminist, which is such a fun title for every man to have. I mean, that's a dream come true. But he is everything that you would expect him to be. And I haven't watched this clip of it yet, but this one, the context of this one is that this male feminist thinks that men should have no paternal rights. And so, you know, as a dad who has been a single dad with 100% custody for a long time, kind of just don't get that. But let's watch it together, and feel free to tell me in the comments what you think. And if you like the channel, give me a follow. Here we go.
Just because men don't file for custody doesn't mean they abandon their children. There could be an agreement outside of court for shared custody.
That's fair, but statistically, more men abandon the children than women.
The thing is so funny about that is like, but you advocate for a society where the women own the children. So it's
I advocate for a society where women get to make the decision whether or not they have a child.
So they own the child.
No, they own their pregnancy.
Yeah, so they own the right over the life of the man's child, literally by that
They own
logic.
a pregnancy, and the father should take care of it after that.
But what if the man? But if the woman doesn't want to take care of it, she gets out. If the father doesn't want to take care of it, he does not, right?
Correct.
So then the ownership of the child and life and death of the child and life and death of the father falls to the woman.
Okay, life's not fair, Andrew.
Yeah, so don't you think women have a greater responsibility here for reproduction than men?
I think women have a responsibility for their pregnancy, and then a father and mother have. Hold on, I'm talking. And then the father and the mother have a responsibility to raise the child.
Okay, that's not my question. Repeat my question.
Yeah, but that's my stance.
Repeat my question.
Yeah, but that's my stance.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the question again, then actually answer my question. Don't you think that if it is the case that you advocate that only women can have the right to terminate a pregnancy, and that only women can have the right to bring it to bear, and that affects the man's life, and it affects the child's life, but the sole decision is on her for reproduction, why doesn't she have a greater responsibility to who she fucking reproduces with? Why?
Because the other person was involved just as much.
I don't know what to fucking do with.
You can't argue that the other person is involved just as much if you're arguing that the other person should have all the say in every part of it, all the way until the child is born and everything. If you want more authority, you by default need to take on more responsibility. That's just the way life works. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Fuck, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid.
So way more. So she has way more privilege, right? Way more privilege.
So much privilege.
Yeah, way more privilege.
So much privilege.
But for some odd reason, no greater, no more, no, not even equal responsibility. Like, it's fucking wild to me.
Yeah.
So let me just make sure. Well, can you say it for me one more time? Say it for me one more time that women, right, even though they get to determine the pregnancy the entire time,
right,
have no greater duty or responsibility for who they reproduce with.
Correct.
Even though they're the gatekeepers of reproduction.
Because someone else was a part of that birth.
Even though they're gatekeepers of reproduction.
Gatekeeper, okay.
Well, they literally.
Well, someone entered the gate, Andrew. Don't they have a responsibility?
No, they could just kill whoever came through. Whatever the result of that, they can just
yeah, but
kill
someone
them.
walked through the fucking gate, right?
Yeah, how could I don't know how you can possibly make this claim consistent for me. How do they not have a greater duty when they are the ones who can reproduce? Men can't reproduce,
and
they don't have the option of saying no afterwards.
They
Only
have
women.
the greater duty of the pregnancy, and then after that, the mother and the father should raise the child together. That's my stance.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
No, we're moving on.
Do you think that in dating? No.
No, you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think in dating, right, that it would be like a really big deterrent if I knew that if I had sex with a woman, even if I cared about her, right, and she got pregnant, that I would have zero choice over the health and welfare of my child, but she would have 100% of the choice over that?
Isn't that how it is today?
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Yeah. So right now, today, don't you think that would act as a massive deterrent in dating, which is the thing you want men and women to do again?
What's changed about that? When hasn't that been the case? When's the last time that wasn't the case?
What? That women had...
The scenario.
Yeah, so before the 60s.
Okay, well, people were still dating, right?
Yeah, but don't you think that abortion had an arc where previous generations were not as accustomed to it as they are now, and before there wasn't that many people resisting it? And now many, many more. It's the age of the internet, right?
So you don't think men are dating because they're afraid women are going to abort their child?
I didn't say. Do you think?
It's not what he said at all, but it is fair to say it plays a factor.
Reason's a monolithic one?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah, so I could have many reasons, right?
Yeah, but you're asking about this one in particular.
Yeah, so that's right. This one in particular. Do you think that would cause incentive, more incentive at least, for men to be very wary of the dating market if it is the case that women can have the choice over the reproduction of their child?
No, I don't.
Why?
Because it hasn't really changed that much since the 60s.
Bro. So I really don't understand this. Even if it is a case that boomers, right, who didn't really have to deal with this problem as much as it's done. I mean, it's casual now. It's casual. Like, do you think in the 60s and 70s that women were, female comedians were televising their abortion like Sarah Silverman?
No, but you said it's more casual, right?
Yeah, their abortions are more casual.
And sex is more casual too?
Yes.
So that doesn't seem like much of a deterrent.
What do you mean?
Guys are still banging.
Sex?
Correct.
The sex isn't a deterrent.
The sex is, regardless of relationships, the sex is what causes the child, Andrew. The sex is what causes the child. So if more casual sex is happening, then it's not much of a deterrent.
If you're dating a woman, is that casual sex?
No, we're talking about sex.
I'm talking about dating.
Say the word dating. It's obviously not. If people are having casual sex, I don't need to say shit.
Yeah.
If people are having more casual sex, then they're obviously not that deterred by the idea of this woman could terminate the pregnancy.
So I'm talking about dating. I asked you about that word, dating. You say casual sex, but then casual sex not dating, so that you shouldn't logically put that in. It makes no sense. So we're talking about dating. Do you think if you're dating a woman, right, that you would be deterred from dating the thing you want to do by the fact that she has complete and total control over reproduction?
No, because I don't think men are avoiding dating because they're like, oh man, she might abort my child.
But really? But I thought you just said that there was an uptick in casual sex.
There is.
Instead of dating?
Not instead of dating. I'm saying there's been casual sex for a long time.
So is dating up or down?
Dating is down.
Is casual sex up or down?
It's about the same as it was probably whenever we were in college.
No.
Okay.
No. Do you think that casual... But even if that was the case, dating is down, casual sex the same? So that would still mean that people are having more casual sex than they're dating, right?
Yeah, but I don't think there's not dating because they're afraid they're going to have a child.
You don't even think it could be possibly a contributing factor?
No.
You wouldn't even grant a contributing factor?
No.
Okay. What about for the religious? Is it a contributing factor for them?
I think they're probably not having premarital sex to begin with.
No, dude. Just because you're religious, right? You can still give in to temptation, right?
So just real quick, I went to a school temporarily that was a religious-based school, and the codes of conduct included no sexual relations, no drugs, no alcohol, things like that. And there was a joke, and the joke that went around was, what did the girl who went to this school do when someone brought out drugs or booze at the party? And the punchline was, she put her pants on and went home. So, people are people. People have hormones. They have urges. You don't have a hormonal urge to go drink a beer. You don't have a hormonal urge to go buy some illegal narcotics from, the guy on the street corner. But you do have a hormonal urge to engage in sexual activity. So, people are just people. And yes, they preach one way and do the other. And that's just human nature. We all have done things that we would openly say are not good things that you wouldn't recommend doing. But to make it sound like just because someone's religious that they just never have premarital sex. I mean, anybody who's grown up in a community that's had, a lot of religious families, that there's teen pregnancy just like anywhere else. And there's people that do those things just like anywhere else.
Okay.
Don't you think that would be a deterrent?
I think they're more abstinent than a lot of secular people.
Sure. But wouldn't it be a deterrent?
No.
So
because I don't think a religious person would get an abortion. What the hell are you talking about?
Because you're religious, the person you're dating has to be?
I would imagine if you're dating a religious person, you're probably religious too.
No, that's not the case always, especially not for Christian men. Okay. They date secular women constantly.
Okay.
And it's a fear they talk about often. That, hey, if I slip up and she gets pregnant, she can actually just take out my kid. There's nothing I can do about it.
I want to get
Which is why they date less and less secular women, trying to move more and more towards Christian women. Doesn't that lower the chance of dating? No?
It's anecdotal for me to say this, but when I was, using whether it be like a dating app or, planning on going on different dates and things like that with different people, I would consider these factors because, life happens to us all. And sometimes, mistakes can happen, and you can find yourself in a situation you didn't intend to be in. And it's always nice to know who you're involving yourself with, just in case that event does arise. And this is a factor for men who are in the dating marketplace. That is for sure. This guy he has to pretend like everything Andrew says is ridiculous. Otherwise, he has no point to stand on. But that's what happens when you stand on ridiculous points.
Okay.
I know you want to ask a question. We'll finish up the chats, and you can ask the question here. We have Jason Cassell. Really quick, Kai Baka. I don't know if you're still watching on Twitch. It won't let me trigger the gifted subs. I think you sent in 40 gifted subs on Twitch. Thank you so much, Kai Baka. Appreciate it. We have Jason here. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Jason Cassell donated $100 to the feminist man. You may be one of the dumbest individuals to debate Andrew. You don't know what an ought is, you don't know what descriptors are, and you said F the logic. You are beyond dumb.
He did say fuck the logic.
I did.
I mean, let's just end it on that note, because anybody who wants to actually have a leg to stand on in a debate that says we don't need logic, I mean, how do you debate with someone that doesn't even think logic is valuable to begin with? Granted, I didn't see that part, but he just said, I did say F the logic. Maybe he's talking about something specific, but just in general, that's not a recommended way to debate. You should be able to state the logic of your arguments, and that's just kind of obvious. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video. This is just one of the more videos to come here, and I'm going to keep pumping these out. So have a good day. Thanks for watching MurrayMax.